waiting on
Good.
Yes, I was on vacation.
Oh, yes.
I didn't miss a meeting, I guess, because of my vacation.
what the heck's going on here. There we go. Keep dragging. There we go.
You drag over the board, check me out.
Well, I'm trying to. But anyway, we're live streaming. Oh, I'm gonna record. Start recording. Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so we can get the service committee started August 28th at 6:01 p.m. So we have call to order.
Let's see. Cosgrave,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Schaffner.
Present.
We also have Mayor Darrell, Brian Holbrook, our PA. We've got Brian Bidler, the officer. We've got Tina Litz and Ms. Brandon McCreary and Chuck Keller over here for additional council members. And got Scott and Eli. Wade, I'm chair of the service. Welcome everybody. See if we have any from the prior minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do I have a second? I'll second it.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Well, I mean,
Well, it's two.
it's two. Yeah, you can abstain, but technically you were on Zoom, so you go ahead. You weren't. No, you weren't. That was 2 weeks ago. Never mind. Yes, you can abstain. Yes,
Right.
it passes.
So we can go to visitors for service. Is that you just want to talk now? Scott, or do you want to wait till?
Yeah, we're going to get into some of the water questions.
Okay.
For that as we go into that.
And then so we can proceed to our, we have every meeting that we have the 5-year goals for streets, wastewater, water treatment plant, and the I&I plan. So we're currently working on plans for all of those. We've got projects in the works for streets, for water, for wastewater, and for the I&I. Any questions about that? We proceed to reports. Those departments. So with that, I think did the water department give any kind of inputs for the committee?
So what information are you looking for? Just reports on flows?
Yeah, we usually got metrics that showed us the water leaving the plant, the water, how much was billed, you know, any kind of groundwater reporting, water breaks. We usually got information on how many people paid their bills, how many turnoffs, all this sort of thing.
Do you have an example of one of the words? We went back and looked at the last meeting on stage.
Yeah, we've been actually Brian Gilbert's been very helpful. He's a similar reporting method that he uses for finance. My understanding is that unfortunately he didn't author that one either, but he knows how to use that one. So we're hopeful that what I'm passing around to you now is what we have from January of 22 to I believe August of 22. These are the flow reports that we have. We're all, of course, being let's see. These are from water treatment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you enlighten us of what we see here? This is This is raw, this is finished, this is what actually comes out of the plant, that's usable water. And the difference is 34,000.
Yes, the
Or
difference is the amount of water that gets used to process the water.
Okay. So this number, what does it mean to us?
That's how much water you're using to make water, essentially.
Okay. So, when we see it fluctuate, what does it tell us?
That, mainly backwashes and regenerations probably aren't getting done.
Okay.
And, that's how much water you use per backwash and per regeneration. So it's water that gets used throughout the process of creating water.
Is it better if, forgive me if I'm educating myself alone on this, but is it better if total raw and total finish are closer
Yes.
by number than
Yes.
the margin that's there?
Yes.
And how do we accomplish that?
Shorter filter backwash run times and shorter line exchange unit rinsing.
I'm gonna say this is 2020. So
This is what we got. This is what we got.
We don't have anything for 2023.
No, sir.
No.
Now, they have the information.
Yeah.
But that information doesn't get put into a sheet like this
Correct.
until I get it. Now, my on-the-job training did not include that,
Yeah, 'cause this is all a year old. This is all.
and it's not even complete. It stopped in August. So
All that information.
what I'll get you,
It gets recorded, but it's not being put into a spreadsheet like that right now.
And the other thing we used to get was how much water was billed, so we could see how much water was like disappearing, like through leaks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this,
We're not being billed because the meters aren't working properly. So that makes some of that go on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there,
I'm not sure if this doesn't do that.
oh, okay.
This came from Missy. And I talked to her a little bit about it today. But I was focused more, quite frankly, on this information for water treatment and wastewater. Those are the numbers I think you really want to see. And I laid out a lot of this stuff on the table back there. And it's information that we found, but it in the form of charts and graphs. But there's no, I'm pretty good at following a path. If I've got a previous example, and I think this is what Brian did basically with his system. Each month you go back and you follow that same path. You put the information in, you get the charts, and then you get the graphs.
Right.
So that's where we got to get to.
Templates on there aren't on the building administrator.
They're not there. I can't, the only thing I can find, I printed everything out. It's back in the back. You can see it, but in order to get those graphs to work, you have to have a chart like this. You have to have this.
You input the numbers and it pops in.
Right. So it's a
two.
two-step process. These guys are going to get me those numbers, those flow numbers from both
It's gonna take a
plants.
little bit of time. If you look at it, I've been on the job 2 months.
Right.
Scott's been in charge of the water plant since April. So it's hard for us to try to fix stuff at the water treatment plant and the wastewater plant and try to get all the analytics that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Give us about 6 or 8 months till we
Absolutely.
get something under our belt and get familiar with the operation.
Right.
I think we'll be in good shape.
And we'll have those numbers.
I just want to make sure we're moving in that direction. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it should already be here. I'm just saying these are the information the council needs to know when their things are operating correctly.
Yeah.
And I can get these for you. They're gonna get the numbers for me. But it's not gonna take 6 or 8 months to get these. These will be by next service meeting.
Yeah.
I'd say probably before that.
This is information that we record each month. We send it out to the EPA. It's just hasn't been fitting you guys' spreadsheet, I guess, since last August. So we're gonna get back on top of that.
We're gonna get it done.
Yeah, because you also have the turnoffs and how many turnoffs, how many delinquents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we knew where we were on that. Because those would fluctuate based on the season.
Mhm.
Christmas, they would get worse.
Yeah.
Certain times of the year, they'd get worse and get better. So,
This is just a usage report as I look at it. It's not the same.
right.
As I show off some things that you're
The
talking about.
information that you give the EPA, is there a way just, so you're not doubling your work?
Well, no, because
to
we
give
don't
it to him?
give the EPA raw water. That's a report for another entity. So to give you both raw and finished water, that'd be easier for you to send it
Oh,
that
okay.
way.
All right, I just don't want you to double your work.
But honestly, and quite honestly, a lot of this is just not knowing what we needed to do.
Yeah.
There was, like I said, there was no
Sure.
path to follow. There was no, but now that we know,
Yeah, it sounds like the period with the interim VA where things didn't get passed from one to the next, and then the interim couldn't pass the new one because the interim didn't get.
And Brian and I spent some time together this afternoon looking at,
And I know when Tim
Excel
Little was here, I said, we need those numbers, but we couldn't. I searched everywhere on the sheriff folder. I thought they had to be on the sheriff folder. They probably still are. We just haven't found them yet. But then I stumbled across, after last month's meeting here, I stumbled across a file. I went, oh, I think this is what we need. And I pointed out to him, and now it's just a matter of getting some data and then finding the spreadsheets where the graphs are, or what do you say? When you take the data and it's generated.
yeah, it's an Excel spreadsheet. It's-
Right.
Once you have it and you know how to use it, it's pretty easy to do.
Right.
Just input the data and it charts it out for you however you want to chart it.
Okay, it's just probably, it isn't like right there where you just start putting the data.
So I'm gonna, Scott, you had some things, I'm sorry, Eli, you had some things from the wastewater plant. And this is another situation where we're finding a lot of information just by chance. You found something today.
Yeah, just I know that was a big issue with everybody here, and I found a report today that we've been fighting this since 1979.
Right.
So if you look at the pretty handwriting, how great it was, like person writing it.
I wish I did.
The new plant was built as the solution, but it really is.
It's not, it's made it
not even
worse.
close, it makes it worse. I'm aware of
Because
that.
it was built as a 600,000 plant.
Right.
And we're exceeding that after a rain event. Now, if you look, and I average it out, or so we get 7 major storms a year, is what I've seen. And that we get about 35 inches of rain every year. We're not able to handle it.
Yeah, we have more overflows than that, though. We have.
We do.
several a month.
We don't. We do, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because if you keep up on it and you do what the protocol is, you won't have those overflows. Like we had that whole 1.5 inch of rain or whatever we had the other day. No overflow.
Okay.
So that's a bonus, but you have to keep on top of it. Once you let it go, you try to stick a Band-Aid on it, and then when you try to rip that Band-Aid off, it just goes everywhere. So that's what myself and even the other guy, Ryan, that we just hired, that's what we're trying to do right now, is to get a grasp of this wastewater, get a grasp of the INI. We've reached out to Ohio Rural Water, and they're going to help us not only, because I know we have some devices in our manholes now that is doing data, but they're also going to come in October, November, and they're going to put some devices in our manhole, and it's going to be real-time monitoring.
How much
We're
is
gonna
that
be
gonna
able to
cost
see
us?
everything on our tablet, on our iPads, exactly where the flow is. And then every 30 to 45 days, they're going to come back in and they're going to move them around.
And how much is that gonna cost us?
That is free.
So we can see where we need an INI project or a stormwater project to try to grab that water before it ends up in the sand.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep. And
That was the goal, but it kind of fell apart because everybody was gone for a year.
that's what happened. I mean, we do have some units that we purchased that are in the manholes now that right now, we're just talking to people. We're trying to grab that data right now. I think we have a meeting tomorrow with V3, which is in charge of that project, to see if we can pull that data. But if we can use Ohio Rural for our INI study, they're also going to come back in April. We're going to do another smoke test in April. Just to make sure.
So you said that's free?
Yep.
Awesome.
So the other devices were the metering devices that we purchased, and we decided we're gonna move them around.
Right.
Sort of the same idea.
Yeah,
But they're bringing more.
Yeah,
So do they offer dye testing as well? or-
I think they do.
Because I can tell you for certain, there's a number of buildings in the village that have perimeter drains and downspout drains tied in sanitary and got traps. Some will fail the smoke test, that we know because they already have some that failed the smoke test that nothing's been done about.
Right.
But some of them, I can assure you, there are traps in there to keep the smoke test revealing the fact that they're tied in the sand.
Right. And that's something that
That's
we
attention.
Right. And that's something that we need to keep on top of. And that's really hard. I mean, there's a lot of changes.
Right.
A lot of new faces probably sitting at some of these water and wastewater plants, even the village administrator, and even Tim
Right.
was off for a while with his situation. So if we can keep on top of it, I think we can move in the right direction. So that's why
That's the same one.
when they came and talked to me the other day, it seemed like a great idea. Their money is given to them by the government and we just hand it out for free.
So yeah, I would like to know about the dye testing because I know that's the only way it's going to be field on some of the properties. For sure.
And that's even better. And I know they just smoke tested but I can't find the results from a couple years ago. The only ones I can find are like from 2005 and 1979.
We've got.
You have that one?
I thought you saw those.
Yeah,
I can't find those.
we've got those.
Notebook that had the
Yes,
problem areas,
yes.
pictures of them and everything.
Pictures, addresses,
We
mug shots.
Are the addresses notified?
They haven't been. That's part of the
That's,
problem.
yeah.
That's part
I
of the
keep
problem.
checking with a couple of them.
Did you say anything to me?
No, I don't know about your house in particular.
But I think if you, I mentioned this in my report, there's basically 3 phases. The first one's educational. We know people know, but we're going to go through the educational phase with them, put them on notice, you know, that you're in violation because of it. As a result of that smoke test in 2022. And eventually we'll get to the enforcement phase. How we're going to handle that, I think, is something that we need to talk about.
I think in the past, council has addressed that with, sort of carrot and stick ideas. And these were just ideas about, offering like breaks or some kind of, I don't know, yeah, incentives or subsidies or some kind of something to help out.
Well, most of them haven't even been made aware of.
Right. That's the first step, and we got to take that. And then I think the next thing is letting them know what their alternatives are. Like, do you do something different? If you have, obviously, if you have a way to take your sump pump or whatever out to the curb and put it in the stormwater system, that's what you should do. But other people don't have those options. So what do? And there are some options. I know you're aware of some of these in-ground type drainage systems. French drain, you can call whatever you want to. I know people who stuck trash cans with holes in them.
Dry wells.
Yeah,
The problem is those still can end up in our sanitary, just because a lot of the manholes are brick and they leak and water's gonna go to the lowest point it can find. And it's gonna follow excavated routes to get there, which is already your sanitary line. Find its way there. The only real way to get rid of that stormwater is to catch it, put it in a storm system, and get it in the creek. So, and there's large areas of town that don't have any place to take it. Especially for the road.
Right, and I think also getting back to the goals with the I&I, 5-year I&I plan. If I remember right, from a couple of years ago, there was laid out an I&I plan to work on. So rated on by EPA and kind of laid out ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of thing.
It was, but when they built that plant at MBR, they just did not set it up correctly. You have to send it over to another basin that could possibly go into your creek. And as part of your, how many gallons that you could do a day is how they set it up. So if you look like, MBR was only supposed to handle 670. Anything above 670 was going to that, I don't know if you guys have been out to that property. Everything was going out that basin, as soon as that basin was full, right to the creek.
Yeah, we had a plan to expand the basin.
I've seen that, that's on
Doing
there.
that?
That drawing's still in there.
Okay.
That's on the draw. Like a lot of things been drawn up and it's been out there, we just, it hasn't,
Nothing's happened.
nothing's happened. It's kind of just fell by the wayside. I was talking to Tom Smith, you guys saw Tom Smith, he came by the other day, and he said this is a thing that EPA wanted, the I&I. If it wasn't solved in the right amount of time, they were gonna move this to a class 3 wastewater. Is what I heard.
It's been the problem in this town for a long.
And that's the problem with a lot of towns.
It's worse here.
Well, even where I came from a private industry, and we had water and wastewater, and no wastewater system in their type of water type. They're all gonna leak, they're all gonna give you a little bit of I&I. But I mean, when it rained at my own facility, I would maybe get 150 extra. Here, I'm getting like, when it rained the other day, it was 400,000 extra. So.
So I pass those pieces around. These are things that we kind of stumbled on in many cases, but they kind of show on that one letter down at the bottom of the page, there was a comment that we're not doing anything more to our system. That our system is fine, basically, on this letter. And on the bottom, it says at the time we do not feel the need to proceed to phase 2 wastewater treatment plant. Village feels the burden on our system is an ongoing I&I issue. Now, it's handwritten on here 2011. And then, obviously by reducing I&I and reserving our current capacity, current plant can serve us for many years. So, I mean, and I'm not looking to the past. Like, you know, we're trying to do the best we can now for the situation that we have. So, and that's what our operators are going to do for us. And the rest that's just other information, kind of shows that this has been going for a while. And next thing I want to send around is these water line projects. This is something I found again in the database, and what I like about it, and we haven't really talked a lot about this yet, but it kind of prioritizes some of the water line needs. We've got to look through this and see where it's. So it may not have copied the wrong one too. I guess it is. There might be some duplicate pages in there. But anyway, that's what I found as far as water lines go. As far as streets, I have this to share with you. And this is all towards our goals. We're talking goals, right?
Right.
5-year plan. So this one, it lays out several streets, capital improvements budgets from 22 to 26. It breaks them down 23, 24, 25, and 26. This is the only comprehensive schedule of improvements that I found for any of the 3 departments, streets department. So, again, we're just getting this. We're looking at it. We're trying to figure out, first of all, what have we done, and if we haven't, are we going to? If you look at 23 capital improvement plans for streets, you can see Coomer's on there, Washington's on there, Brown's on there, Fremont. Monroe's on there. We just got word on that one, didn't we? Yeah. You want to share that now?
I got an email from the Regional Planning Commission. We were awarded the East Monroe Waterline Project. It went out for bid last week. So bid opening, I think, next week. I believe. So that project's moving along. That's the one we don't, right?
Washington went out yet?
No, what happened there was, the engineers have been asking the county officials if there's any specific language that needs to go in the bid requirements, because we're dealing with federal dollars and any other stipulations that are required with this. And it turns out there is, and the county commissioners, just passed the requirements last week. I got that email Friday, forwarded it on to the engineers. And so that project should be going out for bid here in the next week or so, I would assume.
Looks like at least for streets we're doing okay as far as at least kind of keeping an idea of what's going on.
I think so. And then, did I send around the wastewater? I don't think I did. This is a wastewater 5-year plan.
Come on.
Can't do this at a tree commission meeting. But sometimes, and I'm this way, it helps if you see it. It helps me to see it. And that's why I did this for tonight. And you can see on that list of capital improvements for 22, Public, education and outreach, again, was on there. The flow meters. And then the field survey and the EQ tank, which we did get a sonar picture of, right?
We do have a sonar picture of I call it the lagoon, but it's a basin. It's a big one with a creek,
Pond.
pond, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know how rural kind of thing again, they came out and put sonar on it. We definitely need to pay attention to that a little bit. It's cool. Not with just water, but there's some sludge in there that needs to get taken out.
It's not as deep as it should be. It's not just like.
And I can't figure out, prints and stuff, even what Brian showed me today, I don't know what the original depth was. But if you look at the sonar picture they sent me, it looked like it was 20 feet deep. And I showed that to Tim and he started laughing. It's not even.
Not even.
Like there's some places
5,
that
6
are like 5 or 6, maybe there's one spot in the middle like this, it said it's 20. We don't know if it's 20.
And it was built a long time before Tim got here too.
Yeah, so I don't know if
It's been a
that's,
long time, but not as long as the plant was built.
so even the MBR came in 2007. Was that lagoon already there prior to 2007?
Now you're getting.
Okay, I'm not
far
sure.
For me as
So
well.
maybe I'll have to ask if I see Tom again.
Tom would know. Yeah.
Okay. If you guys see him, say thank you, because he's been very, very helpful and knowledgeable of how things go on around there.
Kind of funny, he just kind of cruises in every once in a while. Talks to you guys. Says
Yeah.
hello.
He's not real busy. Yeah. So they have it at 20 feet because that adds so much capacity for the back of the 20 feet.
So if you look, some of the things
They
I go
go
with.
expand it. We need to clean it out.
Yeah.
750 was one thing, and then 550 was another one that I read on, like Brian, like looking through files and these are finding as we go, so I don't.
So
I have
we-
no idea.
We get that dredged out. What do you do with all the?
It can go on farm field. You just can't.
What's that?
They just, if we dredge that, it can go on
That
farm
one,
field.
we'll have to look
Right?
and get to.
Do you ever do that sludge and all that, sludge press, all that, just like what we do with what's coming out of the plant?
We can scoop it if we can get a permit to take it to the dump. And then you would just scoop it into the 20-yard dumpster and they would take it to the landfill and then come back and do that. So that's where I came from. That's exactly what
That's probably the most expensive way to do it though.
it might be.
I don't think we could put it on farm fields if it has an opportunity to compost.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I've never done the bags like we're doing now. I've always sent it to the landfill. I've always used a belt press to get rid of my solids. So this would be something new that I could look into,
Right.
see how we could do it.
We can store it on site for maybe 6 months to let it compost.
Which we have done since.
Yeah, we have plenty of room. Then we can make possibly just spread on farm fields and not incur that cost.
Right.
That would be
Yes. We've got the EQ basin. We almost had it during the other day and then we got that right. I'm feeling back up.
Is the plan on auto now? It is an auto.
And so like, you guys have figured out a maintenance schedule for the wastewater treatment, cycling from like, using the chlorine and using the muriatic acid for all that.
Yeah, we just had a guy in from Viola, kind of walk us through the process. I've never ran an MBR. I've always been a return activated sludge. Not a lot of MBRs out there.
Right.
So for him to come in, he taught us how to clean them, how to do whatever and fine tune them. So he did that. I think we're in a better situation than we were just 2 weeks ago on how to do stuff and how to set up the MBRs to, because you can adjust the flow. Like if they start to get like fouled up, you turn the flow down. And you have to clean that one.
So does the rain event kind of put a lot of silt in there and plug them up?
It doesn't, it just puts a lot more stress. Like the plant can only hold so much. So it can do, let's see, if I had every one of them running at say 150, that's 600, maybe 700 pounds a minute they can take, but the plant's calling for 1200. It wants 1200. So, but it can't take 1200. So you're pushing 500 around to an EQ basin, and you're putting it over to the lagoon or that other basin. That's what you're trying to do.
Can you please tell me what the acronym MBR?
Bioreactor. Basically, it looks like a bunch of spaghetti down there.
Nasty spaghetti. Very nasty.
Well, again, I know there were some of us, because I've been over to the water plant, but I haven't been to the water plant, and I know some of us have said we really would like to go over there, so when we talk about these things, we can know what you're referring to.
That technology was developed as a marine sanitation engineered system for ships, essentially. First, that's how it was developed. And because it has a small footprint, it's more efficient. It's energy demanding because all the pumps and stuff, electricity to run it is pretty demanding.
Yeah.
The engineering part of that was marine sanitation initially. Then industry took it over, and it was more of an industrial water filtration and recovery system. It wasn't really meant for small town wastewater treatment. So, I don't know why they.
Great idea.
Chose that one, but. Yeah.
So, and as far as membranes go, we're still trying
We can make them work, I would think.
we're gonna be in some trouble with.
We're gonna get some trouble. We're probably gonna need some new membranes within the next couple, 3 years. As it stands right now, it's probably 150 to 160,000 per vessel. There's 4.
We just replaced.
Well, we just replaced them 3 years ago.
We're thinking they're gonna only last a couple more years, because they're supposed to last
10
10.
or
10 years. He's saying the way they are right now, they're not good.
I think 10 is a maximum that you can get when you service them more. Yes, properly, I guess.
I guess these, the ones that were put in now, were bought by the paper company.
And it just coincided with when we signed the contract. They weren't really bought by the
Okay.
paper company. It's just, they needed to come on to us and then the connection fee, and the connection fee kind of coincided with new membranes. So, and we're up for renegotiating that contract here shortly.
It already should have been, but yeah,
Right. We need to keep that in mind.
Sorry to
I've
interrupt.
already,
I stopped at the hardware store, Rick. You guys got a water leak, main water leak.
Tim's on his way.
Bosworth Street. Right next to the fire.
Tim's on his way.
You get the message?
Yeah, Tim's already on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I should have mentioned that to everybody, but yeah, he's,
Sorry.
I talked to him before. I can't.
We'll do the best we can on these membranes, and we're gonna do a little, like you're almost having,
Right.
where that's where we're at right now, and that's what we were told by the guy from Viola.
Yeah.
So that's
And,
the way
and
we're
the,
gonna
and
do
the
it.
bleach and the acids are gonna wear on those membranes,
Right,
so you're gonna get.
less and less, right, yes. So even when we cleaned it the last time, we should have seen about a 4 or 5 PSI differential. So, more frequent cleanings to keep them up to speed.
And the cleanings involved gates, closing the gates,
Closing the gates, there's some
issues with the gates,
issues with the gates,
some of the, I call them screws.
like a stem valve, that go up and down. Someone decided they got a little excited, got a little strong, now they look like this.
I got a picture of it, I'll try to.
So there's 2 that
Yeah,
work
they're,
and 2 that don't. So you basically, out of the 4 vessels, you have to take 1 out and put it into another one. So basically, to clean 1, you have to clean 2.
Oh, goodness.
which
How much?
becomes a safety issue too.
Right, so then you gotta replace those.
Not replace them, but now you're down to 2 vessels. So instead of doing 500 or 600 gallons a minute, you're doing 400 gallons.
Oh, the stems,
Yeah.
to replace those damaged ones.
Yeah, if I have a call in, once you get back with it. I don't know how much those are gonna be. We're thinking Tim might be able to straighten them out, but we'll see. That's what he's saying.
Oh, wait, I'll show you the picture. It's gonna take some strength.
Yeah, the process of what I need to
We'll
do.
treat the plant, and then, we'll get into the next meeting here, but, we did have some groundwater today.
Yeah.
Put it on our website, hopefully you folks saw it. I'll tell you all, it was the fire department, it wasn't us.
And they were on the west side of town, the big amount of water was filling the truck. I guess the chief didn't know that they were gonna be over there filling, miscommunication on their end, but they opened up a hydrant over there and it caused some brown water. Our goal is to get the flushing, on the 8th to try to take care of some of the sediment in the system. We believe that that's the biggest issue with why we're getting brown water complaints is because, the system hasn't been flushed in at least 8 years. And when it did get flushed, who knows knows how thorough it got flushed, how hard it got flushed, what actually got flushed, and what was working. Me and Dylan, we went around today trying to look at some of these valves, check the valves, see which ones are paved over, which ones we can use. Because the goal with flushing is to close off, segment different lines. That way you get more pressure on these lines to try to remove more of that sediment. So right now we got 8, maybe 10, 15 years of sediment sitting on our line. Some municipalities this size flush twice a year. So that's how long this stuff has been sitting there. That's why we're getting all these complaints. It's because of that stuff just gets stirred up from time to time and gets picked up, and that's what was going on today.
And I'll throw this in too. Our water operators know this better than I, but that could be the reason that we have a water leak now on North Basel.
Most likely it is.
So we've got to keep that in mind too. Once the flushing starts, we identify weaknesses in the system that need to be.
Because what went on today is probably light compared to what needs to happen in order to try to clean some of the sediment out of these lines. So if we're having breaks with what went on today, then odds are we may have more in the future.
That's the reason we're going to do it on Friday night. I know we may end up with some overtime, but it's not, I don't think anybody can chime in and thinks differently. It's fine. I don't think the citizens deserve to have this happen on a weekday morning when
Trying to get to work.
trying to go to school and go to work. And at least if we do it Friday night, they'll be able to hopefully go to church on Sunday. So without any problems. So.
Just a quick question about the chlorine. I've heard of people that live over on the east side, there's a stronger chlorine smell than over on my side. I'm over by Basel Park. So when you test that, are they comparable levels? Because I don't smell any chlorine in my water. Do you smell chlorine in your water? You do, but do you? So Rick and I live over on that side of town. Like, I'm not smelling it.
I have a filter.
Okay, but that's what I was wondering. Tammy, do you have a softener?
I did a few months ago, but not, I mean, it was just for a day or two and then.
Okay, do you have a softener?
No.
So I do, you do, but you don't.
Occasionally I do.
Yeah, it was just
I
sad.
don't.
Over here.
Now, I was just curious if the levels are the same, because I definitely don't note it, but I have a softener and I don't know how that impacts it, but you don't, and you're not smelling it.
It is no longer
Okay,
Well, you can say, depending on how far you are from the tower, the further you
that's what I
are,
was wondering. If
it'll
this-
dissipate as it gets towards the end of town, but the goal is to meet that 0.2 at the end of town. So therefore you have to have a little bit more.
I get you. Okay. No, that was my question, which totally makes sense. Thank you.
So moving on, village departments, we did Parks and Rec board. For service on that.
We're going to be meeting soon. I know the soccer's just getting ready to start, and I talked to the organizer there once. Getting some things done at Alton Park. The baseball organization is doing some work there, planting trees, and they've done some other work there as well. That's really about all that's going on. Well, we're getting the mulch down finally. I know it seems late in the year to put mulch down. Really just something that should happen around April and May. Those playgrounds should be cleaned, but we got that done.
Do you see anything?
Windows, have you read an update? I know we're still excited about getting the windows installed.
I talked to Steve Friday, and no, he's waiting to hear from Jose.
Okay.
But yeah, they will be starting that soon. And he thought it was going to be in September, so maybe
All right,
a weeks.
that's what we heard last. So,
Yeah,
I'll be bringing up at council also the holiday market. There's in December 2nd, so looking for support. That,
The east side drainage project, I know there was some questions about, is V3.
They were supposed to provide us with a study. I asked last time they were here. I haven't got anything.
is that the one we need to pay them for?
Well, we still,
$4,500 or something?
no. This is the contract we signed last year with B3 to study the east side, the Ackers Ditch area. They're supposed to give us a report. I didn't know if you got that one last week or. 'cause I didn't get anything.
Because I know
Steve, I think is the
Mr.
one.
Foreman had inquired about that when he was breaking down the report.
I had, yeah,
Get the easements and all the sort of stuff to fix it.
I did get an email about the easements. Did you not get that?
No,
there's two
no.
easements that would be referred to. One would be stitch lines over there.
Yeah.
And then my understanding, just through conversation, not a report. I mean, we spent like $30,000 for them to do a stormwater study. And I don't think we even got, at this point, we haven't got anything for our money. And the rumor that I heard was that if we fixed what's there, it'll probably be fine. But I was just hearsay and talk. It's not an official engineering.
This is they call it the East Side Drainage Project. It's Holden Road / Ackers Ditch.
I'm trying to keep my project.
At one time, they had mentioned they would be contacting homeowners so they could come on their property to shoot some elevations and stuff, but then even that never happened.
No, they didn't contact him, but they've done the walkthrough.
Yeah, because when we brought it up to them.
Yeah, they said
They
they
said,
were.
oh, we've already done that.
So that should be all wrapped up in whatever report.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting on.
Can we get something for the money?
That's what we're waiting on.
Well, when you know, then we'll know.
Yeah, this is the only thing I had. I didn't make this 20-foot drain easement. None of you've seen this? Let me get a copy.
Is that
for
what
everybody.
we're still
Nope, this is the one for the east side. I don't have anything for stitch lines. I don't have any graphics for it.
Okay.
So,
So I guess we can move on to the new business, which is employee compensation, which came up from council. And looked over,
They moved from finance 2 weeks ago.
yeah, finance. Any thoughts from the committee on this? Personally, I'm partial to the middle increase. This year, and give them this year, and then we can revisit it in the future. But in order to keep us, I guess, fiscally responsible, I think that's a pretty decent way to go.
And the comparison that you did. for the bill.
Yes, the comparison, but I did one for the full too. I just didn't provide. I mean, I can pull that up on the screen if you need me.
It does for damage, correct?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's harder to keep in the black
Correct.
moving forward. So I say we do the middle one, and then we can reassess in the future.
Yeah, we'll be talking about 2024 budget.
Right.
We should be talking about it now because we only have a handful of meetings between now and the end of the year. So
Yes. What's that? I'm sorry.
So, but this would come into effect within the final quarter of the year.
Well,
Is that right?
well, yeah, but that was based on what another pay went out today, so that number just lessened a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes, but I'm saying if we enact this,
But if we enact this tonight at council, I'll put it in effect. It'll go in effect next pay, and then I'll keep an eye on.
and then we'll budget for next year, then we can reassess how
Right.
finances look. But I'm inclined to endorse that. Increase with the total. Give more. That's my recommendation. I don't know any other input from the committee. And then we can reassess in the future. Because next year's, they're gonna get an increase, a percent increase anyway.
I am confused. When you're saying the middle one.
There were originally 3 different scenarios.
It's this page. This page right here. This is what it would cost a year if we give the, of course, we're at the end of the year, if we give them the raise right here. This is what it would cost if we go to the maximum amount allowed on the pay scale.
And this is a result, these numbers are a result of a comparison that you did with other villages or towns.
I think
No,
No.
Charlotte worked on that.
this started from, before us, council gave the council information that this is the max you'll give them, the people. So I took that number and I divided it in half. That's where the middle section comes from. And then the farthest one over is the total if we would give them the max that that council had approved of.
So did we not, and we might be talking about two different things, but I have a recollection of talking about doing the comparison to other towns.
We,
And
yeah,
I do think that, Mr. Holbrook has done that.
That was passed out a few meetings
We found
ago.
out we were below
Right.
most of.
Yeah, we,
So we decided to use this,
Yeah.
Darla's, template as at least something to start out with.
Is there some sort of a hard copy document of the comparisons
Yeah.
that we did?
Yeah, there is.
Of
Should be
someone-
here.
I believe there was one where we did a snapshot of surrounding communities,
we did.
municipalities around the state. Plus, I also passed out the OML survey.
So to keep us at least competitive. I would recommend doing this increase now. Revisiting again. For budgeting for next year.
So you'd like to send that to council?
Yes.
I board makes a motion that we send pay increases in the half rate to council.
I'll second. Any discussion other than any other questions?
And you're just saying for this one.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
what's on there? Discussions from,
You want to do a roll call on the motion?
so
Cos-
motion properly made, formed and seconded by me for adoption of pay increases as the chart given. So, you know, a roll call?
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
So motion carries, we're gonna recommend for that to full council for adoption. All right. So anything else to come before the committee before we adjourn? Questions or anything? Okay, so our next meeting will be in September 25th at 6 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Only make a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Return.
Go ahead and call the safety committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
McCreary,
Present.
Keller, Litz.
Present.
Also in attendance, we have Mayor Reedy, we have VA Brown. We have Police Chief as Officer Brian Fiddler. We also have council members, let's keep this on track. We have council members Litz, Schaffner, Cosgray, and Foreman. Sorry. Tammy's on the committee. So is there approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Any visitors? I don't have any visitors tonight.
Okay, before we move on, roll call, Tammy, Keller,
Yeah.
Litz,
Yes.
and McCreary.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, it seems like we skipped through that. Trying to get to the meeting. Visitors. There's visitors this evening. 2023 goals, 0 workplace accidents. We continue to meet that. Is that true? 0 fatal accidents in the spring. Reports.
Only thing I have to report other than what's in my council report is that we're working on getting some vaccinations for our service workers. Hep B, Hep A, TBC. And Brian did a good job of checking with our insurance to make sure that at first these are prevent when you're looking around wastewater, obviously.
Yeah,
I'm sure you all know that, but just to make it clear, that's what this is about, to protect them. And Brian did a good job to check with our insurance, making sure that we're in good shape with it. We'll get the health department, right? right? They said they would cover it if the health department does it.
I sent it for you the email. I read it. I didn't know if you want me to have a follow-up question with them.
We probably should, just to
Okay.
make sure, because she didn't specify that.
No, she
but
didn't
that was-
specify whether they're gonna do it, whip out their insurance card or they.
Either way it goes, we're gonna make sure it gets done. And the sooner-
Okay. All right, police department?
Just a few things. Officer Laner has resigned to pursue other interests. I'll give everybody a little bit of an update. Last council meeting, obviously, we got a little hectic and Brett was filling in here and had to leave. The person that we were chasing, that we apprehended, is still in the hospital. I'm not sure when they'll be released. They're doing a lot of skin grafts. Only he had he was chasing a woman all over the north end of the county. She had no idea who he was, still doesn't know who he is. She was on 911. They told her to come to our police department. And then the officer was just happened was there going in a type of report. He saw them, took off, so that's where the chase took place. Ultimately, he tried to go out 256 towards Pickerington. He got out around the DFW. They were pace plotting him a little less than 80 miles an hour when he threw the truck door open and bailed out onto the pavement. The problem was, as he bailed out, his right foot shoe got caught underneath the truck seat. So it struck him 130 feet before it finally ejected. The truck then continued about 1/8 of a mile up the road, went off the south side of the roadway and ended up in the middle of a field. We're very fortunate that when they put this out, we had plenty of help on the scene because he had alleged that he had a gun. And medics that got on the scene, and quite honestly, the officers originally thought he may be deceased when they got to him. They couldn't get a response. He jumped straight up, took off on a dead run, screaming he had a gun. They made a wise decision, decided to keep him in eyesight, but not pursue close enough to, contact. So he got back down to the truck, which was not going to go anywhere at that point. We made the decision to call SWAT, get them on the scene. So we had Lancaster Police, Highway Patrol, Pickerington, Fairfield County, and Fairfield County SWAT, who brought their drone, which allowed us to cover and keep eyes on him. After an extensive attempt to negotiate with him to surrender, we deployed CS gas, which is like the old style tear gas. And at that point, he reacted to that, attempted to flee, and SWAT was able to take him into custody. Never exhibited any indication that he was feeling any pain or knew about any of his injuries. Was transported to Columbus Hospital because of the nature of the injuries. And they are going to notify us when and if he's going to be released. And at that point, we'll go pick him up and transport him to the Fairfield County Jail. But prime example how in the middle of a simple day, doing simple things, everything can go really bad like right now. So we're all very, very fortunate for that. And I'm very appreciative of all the help we got from all the surrounding agencies. The festival went well. We didn't have any complaints over there. Everybody seemed to get along, so that was really good. The parade, no glitches in the parade. That seemed to go well. It was a very large parade this year. We are seeing an uptick in traffic complaints. A lot of that has to do with school being back in session, quite honestly. And a lot of it is in the area of the high school. Kids coming and going and, I just got my driver's license and I'm Mario and any kind of thing. So we're going to put together, I'm going over to talk to the principal. We're going to put together a couple of things to try to slow the cars down in the area. The only other thing I had, I don't know if you want me to hold this for old businesses. Well, actually, two things we looked into, but The one in particular was the Main Street Business District striping. That's the whole business or
I'd say, go ahead, if you want to cover it now, so, because we're gonna be jumping right into it anyways.
Okay.
It's 6:55.
So, as you know, I contacted ODOT, explained to them we had an issue with parking. They were supposedly going to call us back and tell us when they were out there doing measurements. They must have decided that wasn't going to happen because I came in and they had restriped the road. They then came back the next day and they obliterated the old stripe, which gave a lot more room up there. So I sit on both ends of that area watching, southbound, northbound. And it's the difference between daylight and dark. I mean, the people are, they're over there beside that yellow line where they should be. All of a sudden, instead of 6 inches between parked cars, we have almost 2 foot between the parked cars and moving vehicles. And I think that's probably going to fix that problem up there. People in the area seem pretty happy with that as a result. And that's all I have on that.
Great, thank you very much. All right, so number one, essentially, we just covered that one. The marking issue on the road Mulberry, and was that partly what you were discussing, the striping of that?
No, that's a different issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe we had been talking about the length of and how we wanted to stripe that particular corner. Is there any update on that? Any thoughts on?
Well, we had, when we had measured that out, let me find this here real quick. The last time, in safety, it was talked that, it should be, 15 to 20 feet back from the curb or from the corner. And if the council decides to do it, it's just a matter of doing it.
I think we had talked about, because the irregularity with the corners, that if we just set it at 15 or 20, who would be responsible for painting that curve? We just assign that to.
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
I think probably one of the things we need to do is look at how much total distance there is there. There's too much space required for each vehicle for each.
And divide it accordingly.
Well, I think you want to adjust that. You want enough that it's going to allow people to see, but you got to remember that you don't want to.
Eliminate parking.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't
I wasn't divide it out and make
Yeah.
sure that.
And I've talked to Tim, Tim Boucher a little bit about this, but, and also about the High Street, which is coming up as well, about marking those out, knowing where we're going to put them. Think about High Street. If we're ready to jump to that yet, we'll take care of the.
Okay, so we're talking about, we are prepared to go ahead with recommendation, marking that corner on Mulberry. And then,
Yes.
which then you say in conjunction, we're talking about the head-end parking, striping that on High Street.
Right.
Which also is the Main Street Business District striping. It all has to do with painting and striping.
Yes,
So,
it does. And Tim and I have talked about marking those out on High Street, north and south. Keeping in mind that there are some handicap spots at the church. So,
and
I
those are
haven't,
parallel.
they are.
Yes.
Well, what do you mean parallel?
They are not perpendicular to the street. Don't they come in and they park sideways along that,
In front of the
the
church.
sidewalk? Yes.
It's that head-in. Like
It-
a head-in.
It's not marked anyway, so it's, I know that the people that are head-in parking both on north and south are head-in parking. But by the church, I hate to admit this, but I've never been to church there. I don't know how they park during church. If they park,
They park head-in.
do they? Okay.
They're handicapped.
Spaces too.
I think if I remember correct, the issue is someone was taking 2 or 3 spots or something.
Right, they're not marked, so
An
people,
extended truck is pulling straight in.
Yeah,
and way out on the street.
yeah,
They're
okay.
not marked at an angle.
Yeah.
To reduce that
right,
projection from the curb. But if there's handicap for the church, I'm wondering why it isn't in their parking lot, because their handicap entrance is on the parking lot side.
It's because of the ramp.
that's something we need to
Side
find
of the
out.
ramp is
So
fine.
if we're talking about.
We may do away
parking
with-
spaces
yeah.
for the church, that would really rather have them on the other end of the building, that's what their entrance is. Maybe they don't need to be there.
You're right, because there's a number of steps there.
The ramp is on the outside, is on High Street.
They put
It's
an
on the
elevator
south side.
on the east, on the west side.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
Yeah,
But with the ramp there, I mean, I don't think about it.
Yeah, I
I
don't
didn't
know
even
if the
know about
ramp's
it.
necessary anymore.
Okay.
It's just the old
Fair enough.
one.
We'll check with them and
Okay.
see. I mean, I wouldn't want
Right.
to not have their
So
blessing.
do we
so to
need
speak.
to take this off? And it sounds like we are, do we need more specifics in terms of
Yeah, I
how
think
we
so.
want to proceed with it?
Let us follow up with the church on it.
Okay.
And also, I make sure I understand, we're talking about straight head-in parking, right?
You're saying at an angle, so like with that long red truck that's always projecting out there.
And the ones on South High Street all head in part two and they pull straight in and they completely block the southbound lane.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is because essentially what you're doing, and I don't have a problem with this whatsoever, but you can only go one way after you back out.
Mhm.
So,
Right, right,
Okay.
which is what it used to be.
Okay.
And then they changed it to straight.
Right.
And-
right, but no, we're going with the angled parking.
All right. All right, we can move on. New business?
I have something if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
I've had a resident, ask me about the alley that is behind the buildings on Main Street, the one that comes out behind,
The old
Mr.
building, the Pine
Hannah's.
House. Okay.
yeah, that, that it might be a safety hazard because people are coming out of the alley, can't see, come out, and there are people walking or riding their bikes on the sidewalk, and that was the concern.
Like they're right there at the corner of the building where you can't see them.
Yeah,
Well, I'm confused.
if you were at the Pine House, and if you were behind the Pine House, and you came,
Behind a piece of
That
plant,
is
the pharmacy,
right
that
across from
alley
Market Street.
comes out onto Market Street. I come out there all the time, because I always drop Robin at the pharmacy. Yeah, I come out there all the time, because I drop Robin at the pharmacy and come around part of the front.
Right.
I've never had a problem. But,
I've never had a problem either, because when I was helping
I
with
mean,
the
if you're
property.
crossing the sidewalk, you need to slow down and watch the
Yeah,
pedestrians.
I mean, it's really the
And
person
any
driving
alley,
a
you know,
car.
just go.
You think a sign, of pedestrian crossing?
Caution pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, any alley, you put stop. Can't hurt.
Yeah, because I mean, the building is there, but again, those driving a car should know, but a sign would probably.
If you're right, you slow
Remind
down
some
and pay
people.
attention.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, thank you. Is there anything else? New business? If not, our next meeting will be held September 25th following service. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Need to vote. All right.
Does anybody need a break?
Is Jack gonna be here tonight?
No, no. Around the, yeah, okay. I didn't have it for you.
It looks like it doesn't quite make the whole road.
If you want to take it 5 minutes, we can get things signed.
5 minutes.
Or I don't care, whatever you want to do, I can get these, signed. Just don't leave without signing the minutes.
Start the, council.
Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Cosgray, Foreman,
Present.
Keller, Litz,
President.
McCreary,
Present.
Schaffner.
President. Do I have approval of the minutes of August 14th meeting?
Foreman makes a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Foreman,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Abstain.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary.
Abstain.
Okay, we don't have any visitors tonight, so we'll go right into the administration reports.
Well,
Foreman makes a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, so sorry. Thank you.
McCreary seconds.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call.
and McCreary, okay. Wait, you startled me. Okay, let's see, Foreman.
Yes.
And McCreary.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
and Keller.
Yeah.
Wait, one question though. Chuck, when you attended Zoom meetings, you voted on them.
I couldn't vote
You
on
couldn't?
any motions.
On my emotions, but when you came back from a Zoom meeting, you was able to vote on the previous meeting, right?
I did.
That's okay. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Here's the thing, I left.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
and So I
So she was
wasn't.
in that.
okay, gotcha. All right. Okay.
All right. Once again, those reports, I don't have anything for you, village administrator.
Y'all have my report, talks about parks and the pools. One thing I'll mention here, $10,050. That's gonna be less 2,500 if we get the grant. That's to repair that window at Basel Memorial Mausoleum. I'd like to see that. Requisition. I guess we can just requisition
Yeah, for how much?
$10,050.
I have to see if the money's budgeted.
I'm not sure what we have left, but we'll work on that. Anybody want to give us any feedback on that? I mean, it's a window, it's broken, it needs to be fixed.
Cemetery or is it main building?
It's the mausoleum.
Does it come out of
Yeah.
cemetery?
I know what
Yeah,
you're
it
saying.
comes out of
Yeah.
cemetery,
Comes out of
and then
cemetery.
that budget's not very,
It is.
we budgeted $5,000 for repairs and
That's why I
maintenance.
was wondering, it's a building, isn't it?
I get it, but there's no such thing as lands and buildings in the budget. But it is a building.
We'll work on it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So you let us know next meeting. Yes, no, we're taking it out of somewhere. Gotcha.
I mentioned earlier to the mayor, but Brian and I were talking, we do have money to complete some upgrades at Johnson Park Pool. So we're gonna be working on that. I know it's the end of the season, but it's probably the best time to try to get those things done. The only other thing is recreation groups. Somebody asked about that, I think earlier.
I did. I think
Yes,
all the teams coming around and,
well.
Yeah.
Some of them better than others.
okay.
And
Well, I knew that.
there's a little transition right now in the baseball, the Youth Baseball Association. I think Joe's gonna be as involved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's still there, but my understanding is from talking with Jeremiah.
Yeah, he's the one that comes, we come out goes more than Joey does, so we kind of figured maybe something going on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Surprised me because Joe was really.
No, he's very good, very good. When you talk about somebody getting things done, he's a guy. So I and I don't, the rest of them, like I said, soccer, we'll be talking with them soon. So, we're gonna meet this fall, probably in a few weeks. Since I can set it, it's hard to get them all together, because of course, they've got different things going on, like the guy that runs the softball. What's his name? Shirey.
Yeah.
Sorry. But he's also involved with high school football. So he's got a lot of things going. So getting them all together at one time. I may have to meet with some of them at one point, others at another point. As far as recreation goes, I know I think you and I had talked about this previously, and Mr. Faco suggested it, that we have someone from council involved. I'm jumping ahead to our expansion of Johnson Park, and Mr. Keller's has agreed to work with us on that project, since he obviously was so involved with recreation before, and still and he lives right there, so it's easy for him. But yeah, so that is progressing. We are meeting with different folks now. I met with we got a appraisal today. I'm meeting with someone, demolitions person, Wednesday evening, about taking down the house. So the appraisal didn't go too good today as far as the house goes. So we kind of expected that. Street maintenance, everybody knows what's going on there. Older road project. When I say pivoting, it looks like we may do this ourselves at this point, right? I think everybody's kind of come to that conclusion collectively. Yeah. So I think both Eli and Scott covered their respective facilities and their operations very well tonight. We are still working on the matrix report. We'll get that to you. And zoning, construction improvements requests have slowed down a little bit, but they're steady. They're still steady. I noticed that Mr. Jude hadn't started anything over on the project behind the oil can, and I haven't reached out to him yet. I don't know what his timeline is on that. I believe everything was approved for him to go through with that. So I know he's got another project going up on Romulus. He's going to finish that one up probably pretty soon. So our code enforcement's been pretty steady, both here and over in Pleasantville. Probably every week I get something from Pleasantville that has to do with zoning or code enforcement. So that's all I have.
Perfect. Fiscal officer, Brian?
I really don't have a report either.
And our solicitor is on vacation right now in Canada. Council committee report, finance.
Okay, Mayor, we didn't meet tonight, but our next meeting will be September 11th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Service.
Service met this evening, 6 o'clock. We had the village administrator went over the 5-year plan for all the different streets, water, wastewater, and fill us in on all that. The motion came out of committee by Mr. Foreman, second by me, for adopting the pay increases on the PDF sent to the committee. Village of Baltimore salaries 2023. So to forward that to the rest of council to reflect those pay increases. And then our next council meeting is going to be on the 29th September at 6.
25th.
25th, yeah, 25th.
Safety.
Yes, Mayor, we met this evening. One of the things that was shared with us was there was a call with the police and emergency services a couple weeks ago. So again, thank you to keeping everybody safe. We also briefly talked about the updating of some of the striping here in the village. We're going to look into that further. Our next meeting will be held September 25th following service.
Perfect. Public safety reports, police department.
Skipped rules.
You forgot rules.
You skipped rules.
Oh, these rules.
I'm doing a good job tonight.
We did not meet tonight, Mayor.
There you go.
Our next meeting is on September 11th, immediately following the finance meeting.
Oh, perfect. Okay, police officers.
All righty.
I'm just temporary.
So they call it fill the lawn or something like that. Um, We went over some things. We had an officer resign. We're actively looking at two people that may fit our need. One is very experienced and is at the end of the regular time that they would be working with them retiring. So it would be a real good time for us. The other one is working currently at another police department in the area, is interested in coming here. And I think we've kind of touched on everything else in safety.
Thank you. Also, joint fire district board.
Right, they met
Yes, right.
Thursday. That was my first meeting as appointed to the board. Important highlights. I'm sorry I didn't get minutes out to everybody. I didn't get the whole set, frankly, but we're working on that. Important things are they negotiated a new contract with the firefighters and paramedics for a 1-year contract. Just as the village is getting ready to do targeted pay increases, the contract negotiations, they wanted step increases and a few other percent increases. The reason is they've just lost a firefighter to another district because he could go get $24,000 more a year doing the same job. So he went to a higher paying job. And so the fire board is seeing that problem because of inflation, et cetera, and the permanent levy that was passed like 7 years ago to fund, and the millage was set up to last about 5 to 7 years, and it's lasted 7 years. And so there's going to be another levy coming up next spring for an additional 5 mills because we want to be able to give the pay increases to the firefighters in order to retain them. Plus also there's an engine that's going to be coming out for retirement. I mean, those things are supposed to be retired for so many years and they have to set money aside to pay for a brand new one at $1 million a piece or whatever they are. So the fire board is going to put forth an additional maybe 5 mil levy coming this spring for next year to vote on. Beyond that, that's about all for the fire.
Perfect. Great. Planning and zoning, please. Nothing. Tree commission, nothing. Records commission, nothing. All right. Do I have a motion?
Corey makes a motion to accept the pay increases that were sent to council from the service committee.
I have a second.
McCreary seconds that.
Roll call, please.
Wait, we had discussion there.
Sorry, just
But just to go through, Brian, you don't even have to make an ordinance for that to pay, for the pay increase. I know you've done that.
No.
Okay.
No. But
It's within, it's,
Okay. I want to make sure that we didn't jump.
I provide you with the paperwork that shows that we are,
Okay. I just want to make sure that Jeff, hey, you guys didn't do this.
no.
Okay.
do I have any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, Foreman,
yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
All right, first reading of ordinance 2023-19. Ordinance amending chapter 102406 of the Baltimore Codified Ordinance, sewer and water charges payment and late payment, the declaration of
This is to move the late fees if it's not paid on or before the 5th of the month, the 10% late fee instead of the 20th of the month, and this can go 3 weeks.
Perfect. Second reading is resolution 2023-15, resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Fairfield County Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaration of an emergency. Great.
Right, yeah, this is for property taxes, and I guess our share of the property tax, we agreed to that. to the county's commissioners. So I think it could go for 3 readings.
Perfect, thank you. We'll move on to the third reading. The second reading, the second ordinance we have for second reading is ordinance 2023-16, an ordinance amending ordinance 925-2017, an ordinance amending the traffic control map to make portion of the Market Street and Basel Street intersection no right turn on red during certain time periods. Mr. Foreman?
Yeah, this is ordinance to change the traffic pattern there at the intersection of Market Street and Basel Road. And I don't think there's any urgency here, so you can stay on first for the next reading.
Thank you. Our next second reading is ordinance 2023-17, an ordinance approving the editing and inclusion of certain ordinances as part of the various component codes of the codified ordinance, providing for the adoption and publication of new matter in the updated and revised codified ordinance, repealing ordinances in conflict therewith, and the declaration of an emergency.
And again, this is just a housekeeping ordinance, so if there's no urgency here, this can stay on.
Perfect. And once again, the second reading ordinance is 2023-18, an ordinance authorizing the village administrator and fiscal officer to enter into contract with Spires Paving LLC for the Brown Cooler and Fremont Streets resurfacing project. And that also is a declaration of emergency. Mr. Keller.
Okay, do we need that? I know I talked about it last week.
Yes, and they asked if you guys passed it last time. I said no. We had the first reading and the second reading tonight. The third reading is the 11th. V3 was okay with it, from what I gathered, so they can go to a third reading.
Okay. You heard Brian, and this is, like I said, so we'll open the next meeting.
Great. Perfect. And we do have a third reading. It's an ordinance to amend the 2023 appropriations ordinance. Mr. Foreman?
Yeah, this was the ordinance where we appropriated money to buy property over by Johnson Park. And I make a motion.
We always ask for discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion. I don't think we should do discussions. Apparently. Any discussions on this?
We'll agree we should buy it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Let's see. Foreman
Yes.
and Cosgray.
Yes.
Keller.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes. Next one is a resolution of 2023-14, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to submit grant applications and to provide all information and documentation required to become eligible for possible funding assistance from the Federal Land and Water Conservation Fund, administered by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the purpose and improvement of Elmwood Drive for public recreation purposes. And Mr. Foreman.
Yeah, this is an ordinance to try to get the administrator to apply for funding to help us turn a blighted property into a park. Motion to adopt.
Do I have a second?
How's that sound?
Do I have discussion? No. Roll call, please.
Okay. Foreman.
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
Keller.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Perfect. Do we have any tabled ordinances that we are not aware of? Do I have old business? Do I have new business?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to bring up, the BDRC, the Baltimore Downtown Restoration, would like to bring for council on the date December 2nd, as we would like to host the holiday market on December 2nd. Out in front of Johnson Park. We had the market there last year, and it was quite successful, and we're asking permission to do that again. And we did share letters. We also made sure that we contacted the residents along the park prior to that and gave them the opportunity to let us know if that was something that we're not interested in.
And you've done that for this year.
Last year was the first year that we had held it there. This would be the second year.
Yeah.
Smack on the prior year.
You do it at my house.
Yeah.
I won't be home.
I know. We won't be in front of your house. but-
I know.
Yes. So, which means I know we would be also talking to the chief, to make sure we could mark off the street such as we did last year. Okay. So. Like to have your well wishes and I can work with chief and the DA.
Well, I think, didn't we do legislation?
An ordinance for that?
Yes, I believe so. So council, someone will council have to pass a motion to have Jeff prepare legislation.
There's a motion.
So I would like to make a motion to organize and establish December 2nd would be the holiday market set by the BDRC.
Do I have a second?
Foreman seconds.
Do I have discussion?
Oh, Foreman seconded. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Okay, McCrary,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Um,
Motion passed. December 2nd.
Is it Johnson Park?
Yes,
Johnson
sir.
Park.
That's what I wrote down.
It's on Park Street.
It is on Park Street and we held it in that section that was actually.
You part of the park.
Be bigger and better,
Seriously.
bigger and better.
We're trying to be social
to
now.
have Jeff regarding the holiday market.
Does anyone else have any new business? Once again, we don't have any visitors. Do I have the last
I
call?
do have something, might be under old business. I know some time ago when there was, we're doing fees and stuff for permits for fences and that sort of thing. And the idea was to move the fence right on the property line rather than 1 foot from the property line. And if I remember right, we just didn't have the public comment section. Like it needed to be, like have a public hearing in order for it to go forward, and that didn't happen. So is that under, like, whose purview is that?
It's not planning and zoning.
Everybody's looking at me, so I guess it's,
Planning and
Planning and
I think
zoning?
so. Yeah.
So is there any way we could get that on planning and zoning agenda to get like public
Yeah.
hearings for?
I'll tell you what I'll work on too, is maybe we should go online and do a public comment.
Yeah, well, that'd be great.
Help.
That would be really good.
Any fences that are permitted to be on the property line as long as, of course, there's it's stipulated in there, you have to have the pins marked. And it has to be inspected.
Yeah.
With the permit, but the idea is not having a 2 foot no man's land in between
Yeah.
fences.
To be honest with you, I was a little confused about this. And thank you for bringing it up because I didn't remember to do that. I've been going by the 1 foot rule off the line. Therefore, it'd be 2 feet between the fences. And recently someone mentioned to me that no, it's supposed to be on the property line. And that sounds like it makes a lot of sense to me.
In Wisconsin, it's just not.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
To the finish line.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of the ordinance too, it just hasn't been finalized.
Okay. Let me,
Does the neighbor have to sign off on that they agree to?
not if it's passed by, yeah,
And the good side should be toward the neighbors and
Yes.
yes.
That's already in there.
even, okay, we'll make you.
Well,
It's not enforced, but it's already in there.
Side shall not be.
It's not enforced.
Right, right, no, I know what you mean.
not paying that side. You know what this in effect could do, and I think this would help a lot of people, is you to have one fence to divide the property.
Right.
The neighbor agreed to abut that and then save one neighbor, like, I don't know, how many.
Well, I mean, they could split the cost and put the whole fence up, because there wouldn't be a need to maintain anything in between. It would be the property line.
We can shadow box it secure on both sides, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
or do one of those every other, something, yeah, so it's called. I'll bring it to planning and zoning, and I will get with Kelly who's done a great job for us. She got some information out for us today. She did some things while I was away. Contacted her. She's going to training too and doing some, learning some things, and she's doing a great job.
That's about all I got.
Perfect. Anything else? No. All right, the next meeting will be held the second Monday in September, which is September 11th at 7 p.m.
Make some motion to adjourn.
Okay, seconds.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Perfect, everybody.
Good job.
It's a miracle. Really there.
Can I ask a question?